The 14th Dalai Lama was born on July 6, 1935, in the Amdo province of Tibet. The 14th Dalai Lama only had 3 years to live a normal life until the high monks of Lhasa found him. When the high monks heard of the rumors of the whereabouts of the 14th Dalai Lama, they set out to see if this was indeed the true reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. They journeyed to the countryside to the farmhouse in which the Dalai Lama was rumored to live. Once there, to test if the child was the true reincarnation, they laid before him several objects. Only one of these objects belonged to the Dalai Lama before him. Without hesitation, the boy grabbed the walking stick that belonged to the 13th Dalai Lama, enforcing the fact that this boy was indeed the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is considered to be the reincarnation of Buddha, who was the creator of Buddhism. Because Tibet is more than 85% Buddhist, the Dalai Lama is appointed to political and spiritual leader of Tibet, meaning that being the Dalai Lama is a huge responsibility. At first, the boy was saddened by the fact that he had to leave his home to live in the royal palace in Lhasa, where he was trained in the skills needed to be the Dalai Lama, and yet thrilled at the same time to be living in such a luxurious place, coming from just a farmhouse in the countryside. As the high monks taught all the skills to the boy, he seemed only interested in expanding his spiritual side, and did not want to take on the great responsibilities of the Dalai Lama. Quickly the Dalai Lama learned that he could not blow off his duties as the Dalai Lama, for in 1950, November 8th, when the Dalai Lama was at the young age of 16, the People's Liberation Army of China invaded Tibet. The Dalai Lama, being the Buddhist leader, was strictly against violence, meaning that when the Chinese invaded, the Tibetan people were not ready to defend themselves. The People's Liberation Army swiftly conquered all of Tibet in a mere 11 days. After what violence that started had stopped, the Dalai Lama sent high monks to represent himself into China to negotiate with Mao, the leader at the time. There, the high monks were forced to sign a 17-point agreement in the Dalai Lama's name, even though the Dalai Lama had not given them any permission to sign his name. After this forced agreement, the Dalai Lama decided to go into China himself to talk with Mao. Once in China, Mao mesmerized the Dalai Lama with his modern age of technology. Mao told the Dalai Lama that the only reason of the invasion was to bring Tibet into a modern age of technology, when really the true reason of why China invaded Tibet was to have military gain in being closer to India. Mao promised the Dalai Lama that the current ways in Tibet would not be changed or altered. The Dalai Lama was satisfied with his meeting with Mao and returned home to Tibet. For a few months, the situation seemed to be fine, and life in Tibet went on normally for the Dalai Lama, until he started receiving word that Chinese soldiers were destroying monasteries and beating and killing monks and nuns. The Dalai Lama was shocked by the soldiers' act of violence, and quickly sent word to Mao, thinking that he was not aware. After months without hearing back from Mao, it was clear that Mao knew and was doing nothing about it. Eventually, these violent events led to the Dalai Lama having to flee to neighboring India in exile to avoid being killed. Sadly, the treating of the Tibetan people has not changed up to today, but the people have started fighting back with protests, and the Dalai Lama has begun reaching out for help from other countries of democracy.